Stupid man. You didn't even realize you've been set up for a long time. I was at a loss for words when my fiancée, Emily, said this. The gentle smile she always gave me was nowhere to be seen, and her cold gaze pierced through me. Set up? By who? Still don't get it? By me. Emily gave me a cold smile and leaned seductively against our manager, Joe. Seeing Joe put his arm around her waist, I realized they were involved with each other. Feeling like I had been plunged into the depths of despair, both betrayed by my beloved fiancé and losing my job. In the midst of this despair, a beautiful woman with eyes shining like stars rescued me. Would you like to join my company? My name is John Doe. I work at a major record company, in a department responsible for promoting our artists. The sales of the artists I manage directly impact my promotion. Because of this, everyone uses every trick in the book to boost their artist's sales and be the best. Of course, I aim to be the best too. Recently, my assigned artist changed, and I was put in charge of a new singer, which meant starting from scratch. But I was highly motivated for a reason. John, how's work going? The reason was my fiancée, Emily, who sat beside me with a smile as I faced my computer screen. Just seeing her smile recharged my energy. Doing good. What are you working on now? My artist is releasing a new CD, so I'm planning the promotion strategy. I said, secretly sharing the strategy details. I wouldn't tell anyone else, but Emily was my beloved fiancée. I could trust her more than anyone else in the world, so there was no problem. What do you think of this strategy? I think it's perfect. As expected from my reliable fiancé. Emily's seal of approval made me puff up with pride. Being acknowledged by Emily was the happiest thing for me. But that elation plummeted a few days later. For some reason, Joe was using the promotion strategy one had come up with. Joe was in charge of the nationally popular boy band Autumnfront. The way he was promoting their next single was exactly like my strategy. Joe, what's going on? You're using the strategy I came up with, aren't you? What? Stop making baseless accusations. Do you have any proof you came up with it, John? Indeed, I had no proof. The strategy data I had saved on my computer had vanished without a trace. Joe kept presenting my promotion and advertising ideas before I could. This had been happening for months. Even when I tried not to leave any data, somehow it still got leaked and used by Joe. But I had no proof for any of it. It was my speculation. All I could do was clench my teeth and endure the anger welling up inside me. That anger followed me home, and the next day I thought I was just having a headache. But then I came down with a high fever and had to take a day off work. By the next day, my fever had completely subsided, so I went back to work, but I was met with a huge blow. John, you're fired. I was called into the manager's office right after the start of work, and that was the first thing I was told. It was so shocking that I couldn't think straight. Fired? But why? Your performance has been declining recently. On top of that, your feigned illness yesterday. Even I can't cover for you anymore. What? I wasn't faking it yesterday. Emily vouched for that. As Joe said so, Emily walked into the room. The gentle smile she always gave me was nowhere to be seen, and her cold gaze pierced through me. Emily? Why? Stupid man. You didn't even realize you've been set up all this time. Set up? By who? Still don't get it? By me. I arranged for your artist to be switched to a newcomer, and I leaked your promotion strategy to Joe. I orchestrated all of it. Emily gave me a cold smile and leaned seductively against Joe. Seeing Joe put his arm around her waist, I realized they were involved with each other. When you confessed to me, I did like you. You were competent and had a bright future. But you're too focused on work and too needy. You think I didn't notice your desperate desire to be my number one? It's over now. I don't need you anymore. I felt like I had been plunged into the depths of despair. I don't remember much of what happened next. I handed in my resignation as Joe instructed, packed my things, and left the company in a daze. I didn't feel like going home, so I wandered the streets aimlessly. Let me go. I heard a voice suddenly and turned towards it without thinking. A beautiful woman was being harassed by three rough-looking men. "Come on, just come with us to karaoke for a bit." "No, I don't want to." The woman looked around anxiously. I was still a distance away, so our eyes didn't meet. But I felt the urge to help her. She was slender and pale, looking very vulnerable. I couldn't just stand by and let those men do as they pleased. "Hey, you guys." As I took a step forward and called out, one of the men was suddenly thrown to the ground at my feet. I stopped in shock. The man who had been thrown was unconscious, his eyes rolled back. "What the hell, you bitch?" When I looked up at the shout, I saw an unbelievable sight. The woman I thought was vulnerable was kneeing one of the men in the jaw and then kicking another in the stomach with incredible force. The men were taken down with a single blow each. Phew! The woman exhaled and brushed the dirt off her hands. Then she suddenly looked at me. Her face went pale instantly. "Did you see that?" I nodded hesitantly, and she approached me. Before I knew it, she grabbed my collar. I couldn't help but notice how her eyes, shining like stars, were beautiful even as she glared at me. "What's your name?" John Doe." "John? I think I've heard that name somewhere." "Well, whatever. If you tell anyone about what you saw today, you know what will happen, right?" I could only nod like a frog being stared down by a snake. She let go of my collar. "You seem like an office worker. Why are you here at this hour with all those bags?" As I smoothed out the wrinkles in my shirt, she asked me this. Thinking about what had happened at work, my mood sank again. "Hey, what happened? You suddenly look so down. If something's bothering you, why don't you talk about it? It might make you feel better." She gently encouraged me to sit on a nearby step and share my troubles, and in my broken-hearted state, I found myself opening up to her. I told her how my ideas and my fiancé were taken by my boss, how they set me up, and how I got fired. She frowned deeply as she listened. "Wow, that woman is the worst. You should have punched both of them before you left." She clenched her fist and jabbed it forward like a boxer. I couldn't help but laugh bitterly at her antics. Yeah, maybe I should have. But at the time, I was too shocked to think straight. "I see. After going through all that, it's no wonder you're hurt." Her expression softened, and she looked genuinely sad for me. My heart skipped a beat seeing her empathy. "Hey John, why don't you come work at my company?" "Your company?" "Yes." "Oh, here's my card." She handed me her business card, which read First Rate Productions, Samantha Thompson. "I assume you know First Rate Productions, being in the same industry?" "Yes, of course." "And Thompson, are you by any chance related to the president?" "Yeah, I'm his daughter." She nodded, looking a bit shy. "From what I've heard, you seem capable, and despite your heartbreak, you tried to help me." "We need that kind of integrity. I'll talk to my father. So please consider it." Samantha stood up, and as she looked around, she seemed to remember what she had been doing earlier. She turned back to me with a sharp look. "Even if you join the company, you must keep today's events a secret. Promise." She hooked her pinky finger with mine and shook it vigorously. After I nodded repeatedly, she seemed satisfied and walked away happily. I looked at my pinky finger, still feeling the warmth of her touch. As I stared at it, I realized I wanted to see her again and work with her. Feeling this way about another woman right after being dumped, I couldn't help but laugh at myself. Maybe I wasn't so different from Emily after all. When I contacted First Rate Productions about joining, Samantha must have put in a good word for me because my interview was quickly scheduled. To my surprise, the interview was conducted by President, Mr. Thompson, himself. "So, you're John. Samantha has told me about you. We're excited to have someone like you join us. Welcome aboard." Despite my nerves, the interview ended with just a few words of encouragement, and I got the job. It all felt too good to be true. The very next day, I started working. I was assigned to the promotion department, just like at my previous company. As I introduced myself to the team, a man stepped forward. "I'm Mike. We'll be working together on the same artist's promotion." "Nice to meet you. We're working together?" "Yes. This way, if one of us is out, the other can cover." though it means we split the profits, but I don't care much about sales. His nonchalant attitude caught me off guard and made me a bit uneasy. Was it really okay to be this relaxed? Wouldn't other employees surpass us? But my worries were unfounded. Everyone at the company shared Mike's attitude towards sales. In fact, Mike was openly discussing his promotion ideas with other employees, seeking their input. If you do that, won't your ideas get stolen? He laughed at my concern. No one here would do that. We focus on how much the fans love the artists. It's the fans who make the artists' careers possible. And we're here to support that. His words made my concern dissipate. I decided to try sharing my ideas with the other employees and get their feedback. Everyone listened with enthusiastic expressions. That promotion idea is brilliant. You're a genius. Well, there are some flaws. For example, here. Some employees praised my ideas, while others gave me advice. It was overwhelmingly more comfortable to work here than at my previous company. Before I knew it, I started looking forward to coming to work every day. And there was another reason why I enjoyed coming to work. It was Samantha. One day, after a meeting with our assigned artist, Mike and I returned to the office to find Samantha at the entrance. She was struggling with some heavy-looking bags. "Samantha, let me carry those for you." Mike ran up to her with a big smile. Then other male employees gathered around. "No, I'll carry them." No, let me do it." "Thank you." I was struggling with these heavy bags, so I appreciate it. Samantha handed the bags to Mike, then she thanked him politely, causing the male employees' faces to light up. But I could tell. Samantha was acting. She could easily carry those bags herself. Such thoughts must have shown on my face, as Samantha looked over at me. She mouthed, "Follow me," so with my heart pounding, I did as she instructed. She led me to a rarely used storage room. Once inside, she closed the door and slammed her hand against the wall behind me. Since I was taller, she had to look up at me from a close distance. But her gaze was far from sweet. "You haven't told anyone about that day, right?" "I haven't, I swear." Trying to keep my racing heart calm, I responded evenly, and though she looked at me skeptically, she eventually removed her hand from the wall. She pulled something out of her pocket and placed it in my hand. It was a small bag of colorful sugar candies. "Here, you've been working hard. It's a reward." The colorful candies sparkled like little stars. Feeling overwhelmed with gratitude, I carefully held the bag, making sure not to crush the candies. "Thank you. I'll treasure these." "Don't be silly, eat them." She immediately corrected me, and we both laughed. By the time I had fully adapted to the culture at First Rate Productions, something amazing happened. The new music video for the artist Mike and I were promoting became a hit online. The video was based on my idea, created through collaboration with Mike and the artist. The positive reception snowballed, and the CD and digital downloads dominated the top spot for the month. This is incredible. I've never seen anything like this before. The artist and the fans are thrilled. Mike said with a big smile. Other employees also congratulated me. "That's awesome. We can't let ourselves fall behind now." At my previous company, this would have been impossible. If someone succeeded, the next thing people thought about was how to undermine them. But the place I'm in now is different. Here, everyone celebrates each other's success. And I found this place thanks to Samantha. I wanted to report this to Samantha, so I went to find her. Also, I had a small gift, which is some highly praised Madeleines, to thank Samantha for the candy she gave me. I found her in the office. When I called her, she came out to the hallway. "Samantha, our artist's new song hit #1 for the month. It's all thanks to you for bringing me into the company. I'm really grateful." "Yes, I've heard." "Congratulations, truly." She accepted the Madeleines I offered her. But she looked somewhat downcast. "Samantha? Is something wrong?" "No, nothing. John, you don't need to thank me. Getting to #1 was your own hard work." With that, she went back into the office. I wanted to say something to her retreating figure, but I couldn't. I didn't know what to say to someone who seemed so disheartened. A few days later, All the employees were gathered in the conference room. I heard that Mr. Thompson has a major announcement. What do you think the big announcement is? No idea. As Mike and I whispered to each other, Mr. Thompson appeared. We straightened up. After a few words of encouragement, his expression turned serious. Recently, the idol group Autumn Front approached us to produce their next live concert. What? Autumn Front? Mike exclaimed loudly, his eyes shining. The other employees were equally astonished, causing a stir in the conference room. I was just as surprised. But isn't Autumn Front produced by another company? I raised my hand and asked. He nodded calmly. Yes, your former company, John. But the request came to us. This is an unprecedented opportunity for our company. If we succeed, I believe Autumn Front will entrust us with all their future productions. I need everyone's help to make this a success. As he bowed his head, the employees stood up in unison. Of course, we'll help. Let's all work together to make this success. I joined in the excitement. I glanced at Samantha and saw that she was just as enthusiastic. Seeing her no longer looking downcast relieved me. Although we said we'd work as a team, not everyone could be involved with Autumn Front. We all had our own artists to manage. They are also our important colleagues. So, a special team for Autumn Front was formed. I was chosen as the promotion manager. I felt uncertain, but Mike encouraged me. Who else but you, John? To my delight, Samantha was assigned as the administrative manager. The thought of working with her on such an important project filled me with excitement. I prepared the budget for the live concert promotion and went to get Samantha's approval. She was focused on her computer, with faint circles under her eyes. Samantha, have you been getting enough rest? When she looked up and saw it was me, she sighed heavily. This is a critical job. I can't afford to slack off. Rest is important. If you have time to worry about me, focus on your own tasks. Her strong words in a low voice made me shut my mouth. Samantha and I were just colleagues. I couldn't meddle any further. Keeping my concern for Samantha to myself, I focused on my work. Days flew by, and soon it was the day of the live concert. The promotion was a great success, and the venue was packed. Having no specific tasks on the concert day, I was assigned to help with merchandise sales before the event. Other employees who weren't assigned to Autumn Front also gave up their day off to help. Why are there so few? I heard Samantha's near-shrieking voice and rushed over. What happened? John, it's a disaster. The number of glow sticks we have to distribute is too small. Mike pointed to the boxes of glow sticks made for the concert. Indeed, there were far fewer than needed. Samantha, with a desperate look on her face, was frantically operating her tablet. Her face turned pale. What should we do? I miscalculated the order quantity. Samantha's words caused a stir around us. At that moment, Nathan, the leader of Autumn Front, appeared. I heard there are not enough glow sticks. What's going on? I'm sorry, it's my mistake. I ordered the wrong quantity. Do you realize what you've done? Those were designed to be enjoyed with our fans during the concert. Without enough for everyone. What's the point? I'm really sorry. Samantha bowed her head, but Nathan's frustration was palpable. I apologize as well. This is my fault too. I stepped in and apologized, surprising both Samantha and Nathan. We'll arrange to send the glow sticks to everyone who came to the concert today. Please use them at the next show. As for the planned glow stick events, we'll have to change them. I'll help make it right, so please bear with us. Nathan glared at me with his arms crossed. But after letting out a big sigh, he smiled. If John bows his head, I can't stay mad. Mistakes happen. I'm relieved to have your help in making it right. Relieved that he had accepted our solution, I called in the event team to come up with a new plan in Autumn Front's green room. Despite the mishap with the glow sticks, the concert was a great success. Both Autumn Front and their fans left satisfied. After cleaning up the venue, we finally wrapped up late at night. As I was slinging my bag over my shoulder, someone tugged at my sleeve. It was Samantha. She led me to the back of the venue. Once we stopped, she scowled and got close to my face. John, who exactly are you? Autumn Front treated you like you were someone special. Oh, I used to be in charge of them at my former company. Joe took over halfway through, though. Samantha's eyes widened in realization. Wait, now I remember. John Doe. You're the legendary promoter who helped make Autumn Front a national sensation. I can't believe I forgot. Samantha slumped down, holding her head. She let out a big sigh and looked up at me. You saved us this time. Thank you. I'll find a way to repay you. Just hearing thank you from you is enough for me. I can't let it end at that. Samantha frowned and clenched her fists. Then she turned on her heels. Samantha. It's late. Let me walk you home. No need. With her firm rejection, I couldn't insist any further. I slumped my shoulders. A few days after the concert, all the employees were gathered again in the conference room. Standing in front, just as before, was Mr. Thompson. Everyone, thank you for your hard work. Thanks to you, Autumn Front's concert was a great success. They've also expressed their desire to entrust us with future concerts and new song productions, and we've secured the contract. It's all thanks to your efforts. So, at the end of this month, we've planned a hot spring trip. The company will cover all expenses. Of course. If you can't or don't want to participate, that's okay. This is my way of saying thank you. Please enjoy yourselves. His announcement made the employees excited. The only one who didn't look happy was Samantha. At the end of the month, we boarded a chartered bus heading to a famous hot spring town in the neighboring city. The entire inn was reserved for us. We can drink and party without getting in trouble. Mike cheered. Hot springs means swimsuits. I'm looking forward to seeing Samantha in a bikini, right, John? No, I'm not. Oh, come on, don't play dumb. Every guy here is eagerly waiting to see Samantha in a swimsuits. You're no exception, right? Mike put his hand on my shoulder, grinning. He was spot on, and I turned my face away in embarrassment. But when we gathered in the banquet hall, Samantha was nowhere to be seen. She said she wasn't feeling well and stayed in her room. The male employees were visibly disappointed, and the female employees glared at them. As the party reached its peak, I quietly slipped out of the banquet hall. I bought some sugar candies from the souvenir shop and headed to Samantha's room. Samantha, it's John. Are you feeling okay? I brought some sugar candies for you. When I called out to the closed sliding door, Samantha appeared. Her eyes were sparkling. Give me the sugar candies. Her excited eyes made my heart flutter. She must really love sugar candies. I regretted not giving her sugar candies before, instead of the Madeleines. I glanced inside her room. The desk was covered with a laptop, books, and files. Were you working? Samantha's expression turned stern as she nibbled on the sugar candies. Yes, the concert was a success, and we secured the contract with Autumn Front, but the fact remains that I made a big mistake. I can't enjoy this trip knowing that. I noticed the dark circles under her eyes were worse than before. Her complexion also seemed pale. Concern, worry, and anger welled up inside me. Yes, you made a mistake. But you shouldn't overwork yourself even now. What if you collapse? I have to. I need to work harder than anyone else to meet my father's expectations. He took me in even though we're not related by blood. I owe him so much, and I've done nothing but drag him down. This was the first time I learned that Samantha and Mr. Thompson weren't biologically related. She pulled me into the room and closed the door. She motioned for me to sit on one of the cushions. When I sat down, Samantha sat on the cushion across from me. I was abandoned by my biological parents. I don't know their faces or names. My father took me in and raised me. Though we're not related by blood, he loves me dearly, and I love him. That's why I joined First Rate Productions, initially in the promotion department like you. Samantha glanced at her open laptop and gently closed it. It was my first job, and I made a lot of mistakes. But there was a colleague who always comforted me. No matter what mistakes I made, The colleague never got angry and pampered me. But that person turned out to be a spy from another company. They knew I was the president's daughter and took advantage of me. I was foolish enough to give them confidential company data that my father had. It nearly brought our company to the brink of bankruptcy. My father managed to handle the situation. And the other company went under when their wrongdoing was exposed. But the fact that I made such a huge mistake remains. A tear fell onto the cushion Samantha was sitting on. Since then, I haven't been able to trust anyone except my father. I was reassigned from the promotion department to administration. And even there, I made such a big mistake. I hate myself for it. Samantha covered her face with her hands and began to shake. I moved closer to her and gently touched her shoulder. Not being rejected, I continued to gently rub her back. Samantha, please look around you. Because of my previous company, I couldn't trust anyone either. But everyone in this company is genuinely good. I can confidently say no one here is out to deceive others. You gave me this place, Samantha. That's why I trust you the most. Please trust me too. Samantha lifted her tear-streaked face. I gave her a reassuring smile. Samantha, after the concert, you quickly handled the shipment of the glow sticks, didn't you? Autumn Front praised how efficiently it was done. Everyone makes mistakes. You managed to rectify yours. You can do it again. And I'll be right here with you. If you stumble again, I'll be there to help you up, every time. Really? Even if I'm the kind of woman who can throw men around? Of course. Tears flowed again as Samantha threw herself into my chest. Surprised, my face flushed. She clutched my clothes and sobbed loudly. I held her close. I wanted her to feel my reassurance, that I would always be there for her, strongly and gently. After returning from the company trip and taking a day off, we all went back to work. The employees seemed refreshed and motivated from the trip. I was assigned to manage Autumn Front. They specifically requested me, so I couldn't refuse. I enjoyed working with you, John. Mike said, looking disappointed as we had lunch during our break. On our way back, we ran into Samantha at the entrance, surrounded by large bags and boxes. Oh, John, Mike. Perfect timing. Can you help me carry these? Of course. Mike beamed and grabbed the heaviest bag. I took the next two heaviest boxes. I'm glad you can rely on me, Samantha. Keep relying on me. Thank you, Mike. Walking alongside the two of them, I felt a pang of jealousy. Since the company trip, Samantha had started relying more on others. This was a good thing, but it also made her even more popular. Many male employees, like Mike, openly expressed their pleasure at being relied upon by her. I might be good at my job, but I'm terrible with women. So much so that it led to Emily betraying me. Surely, Samantha would choose someone who understands women better. After we finished carrying her goods, Samantha tugged at my sleeve. She led me to the storage room, just like before. What's wrong? You seem upset. Was it that obvious? Feeling awkward, I averted my gaze. Samantha moved closer. My heart felt like it was about to burst. I get it. You're jealous because I'm popular with the guys, right? Don't worry. You're my #1 fan. Fan? Yes, being the first member of my fan club is a great honor, right? That spot is yours. Her playful wink made my heart pound even faster. And I'm trying hard, you know. Trusting others takes a lot of effort. Samantha rested her cheek against my chest and wrapped her arms around me. Feeling her warmth and softness, my body tensed up. She laughed, probably hearing my racing heartbeat. Ha ha. Then she pulled away. Energy fully recharged. By the way, my father wants to invite you to dinner. Will you come? With my head feeling like it was boiling, I nodded without really understanding what was happening. Thank you. I'll send you the details later. Samantha left the storage room with a light step. My entire body felt hot, not just my head. It took quite a while to cool down. The place Samantha had chosen was one of the most prestigious restaurants in the city. Dressed in a suit, I stood nervously at the entrance, arriving 30 minutes early. Samantha and Mr. Thompson arrived in a very high-end car. I was mesmerized by Samantha as she stepped onto the sidewalk. She wore a deep green dress that revealed her shoulders, radiating a brilliance like a jewel. The lights from the building behind her looked like stage lights. "John, sorry to keep you waiting. Shall we go?" Her voice snapped me back to reality, and I quickly followed the two of them into the restaurant. "This is a thank you for you, John, so don't worry about the rules. Just relax and enjoy as much as you want," Mr. Thompson said as we took our seats and asked about the wine. Not understanding the menu at all, I went with his recommendation. "I want to thank you again. Not just for the Autumn Front project but also for supporting Samantha. I appreciate it." He looked at Samantha, who was sitting modestly beside him, and smiled warmly. "This girl has always tried to do everything on her own, no matter what I said. But recently, she's started relying on others. She talks about you all the time at home, so I figured you had something to do with it." Samantha blushed deeply. Ouch. The president let out a small yelp, probably because she kicked him under the table. I felt a bit panicked. Haha, as you can see, she has a quick temper. But I hope you'll continue to get along with her. At that moment, a waiter arrived and placed wine glasses in front of me and Samantha. He didn't place one in front of Mr. Thompson, so I started to call the waiter back, but he stopped me with a gesture. "I'll be leaving you here." Samantha raised her voice. "What?" She hadn't been told either. "I want you young folks to relax and enjoy." He leisurely left the table. As he passed behind me, he placed a hand on my shoulder and leaned in. "I've set the stage for you. Make the most of it." I stared at him in surprise, and he gave me a mischievous smile, waved, and left. As we exchanged puzzled looks, the waiter poured wine into our glasses. "Let's drink and eat to our heart's content. After all, my father's paying." Samantha held out her glass to me. I took my glass and lightly clinked it against hers. She smiled and took a sip of her wine. Of course, the wine and food were delicious. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say it was the best meal I'd ever had. Maybe because it was just the two of us, my nerves gradually eased. Our conversation flowed effortlessly. It was an incredibly enjoyable time. "I need to go to the restroom," Samantha said, getting up before dessert. With a slight blush from the wine, she looked beautiful, and I couldn't take my eyes off her. I felt a pang of regret knowing this wonderful time would soon end. I wished this moment could last forever. As I waited for Samantha to return, my mind was still racing. However, she didn't come back quickly. Eventually, the dessert arrived. Feeling concerned, I headed toward the hallway leading to the restroom and heard Samantha's voice. "Don't touch me." I rushed over to find Samantha being grabbed by a man. To my shock, it was Joe, my former boss. Anger surged through me, and I forcefully pulled Samantha away from him. "What are you doing?" "Wait, John. What are you doing in a place like this? I should be asking you that. Please keep your hands off my colleague." Joe flinched at my glare for a moment. Then he turned his sneer towards Samantha. "So, you're working with John? Are you sure you can trust him? This guy is a backstabbing jerk who tried to steal my work." I wanted to tell him it was actually him who did that, but I refrained. Causing a scene here was the last thing I wanted. "Let's go, Samantha." I said that to leave the scene. But Samantha crouched down slightly and delivered a knee strike to Joe's stomach. With an ugly groan, Joe clutched his abdomen and collapsed. "John is not like that. Take it back." Samantha's voice rang out. The commotion attracted a crowd. Joe looked up at us with hatred and spat on the floor. "You violent woman. You'll regret this." Holding his stomach, Joe staggered out of the restaurant. I noticed that Samantha's dress was torn at the hem. Probably from delivering that knee strike in such attire. I handed her my jacket. "Our dessert has arrived. Let's eat it." Samantha sat down, using my jacket to cover herself. Even though the dessert had been sitting for a while, it was still exquisite. But Samantha looked disheartened. "I'm really not cut out to be a president's daughter. Who would want a violent woman like me?" Not even you, John. Without thinking, I stood up and knelt at her feet. She looked down at me in shock. Whether you're like a president's daughter or a proper lady doesn't matter to me. I love you, Samantha. I love the way you try to rely on others and how you're quick to take action. I love you just the way you are. Samantha, who had been staring at me in disbelief, started to laugh softly. What is that? Who insults the person they're confessing to? Oh, I'm sorry. I quickly apologized, but Samantha gently shook her head. She wiped away the tears that had welled up in her eyes. That's so like you, John. It makes me very happy. I love you too, just the way you are. You are the most important person to me. So, please cherish me as your most important person too. Yes, of course. I took Samantha's hand and kissed the back of it. Applause erupted from around us. It suddenly dawned on me that we were still in a restaurant. I felt my face heat up with embarrassment. Samantha's face was also red. Back at the office, while I was working at my computer, Mike called out to me. Hey! What are you up to? I'm working on a new MV concept for Autumn Front. What do you think? Let's see. Looks good. Very interesting. Nice job, John. Mike gave my idea his stamp of approval after reading the content on my computer screen, and I couldn't help but puff out my chest a little. Samantha appeared at that moment. She was puffing out her cheeks in annoyance. Hey, John. You should show these things to your partner, me, first. Okay, I'm sorry. Honestly. Samantha sat down next to me and grabbed the laptop from me. Having worked in the administration department, she had returned to the promotions department. Now, she was working with me on promoting Autumn Front. I couldn't help but smile when I saw the ring glittering on her left ring finger. Partners both at work and in life, huh? You two look so happy. Mike shrugged his shoulders. Oh, by the way, he said, as if remembering something, and lightly tapped my shoulder. Hey, guess what? Autumn Front signed with us, right? That means they cut ties with your old company. That's right. Yeah, and I heard the person who was managing Autumn Front there got fired. He was blamed for losing such a big client. I couldn't help but exclaim, what? The person managing Autumn Front when I left was Joe. There had been complaints from Autumn Front for a while. They wanted the previous manager back because the new one wasn't doing a good job. But the company never listened. That makes sense. That's why they suddenly approached us. Especially with you here, John. Samantha looked up from the laptop and gave me a bright smile. I felt pleased to be so highly valued by Autumn Front. Suddenly, I thought of Emily. What happened to her, dating Joe? Even though she resented me, she got engaged to me expecting I'd be promoted. Now, with Joe fired, how are they faring? Suddenly, I felt a sharp kick to my shin. The pain made me yelp and collapse on the spot. What happened? Mike asked, sounding concerned. John, you were thinking about another woman, weren't you? No, I wasn't. Before I could finish, Samantha glared at me. So I knelt on the floor. I was thinking about her. Good, honesty is appreciated. Samantha snorted. John, you're totally whipped. Are you sure you can protect Samantha like this? Mike teased, making me groan. Mentally and physically, Samantha was definitely stronger than me. Maybe I should start going to the gym. During the break after Mike left, I was looking up gym recommendations on my phone. Samantha took the phone from me. The gym? You don't need to go to one. I'll train you myself. She closed the browser and put her hands on her hips, leaning closer. With her face so close that our noses almost touched, my heart raced. I'll make you the strongest, most handsome fiancé ever. Her confident smile made her eyes sparkle like stars. In my previous job, the competitive atmosphere made me obsess over being the best. But at this company, I learned that it only exhausted me. Instead of striving to be the best at something, it's more important to cherish the best things you already have. For the artists, that's their fans. For the company, it's the employees. And for me, it's Samantha. I vowed to protect my number one, no matter what.